Okay, hello everybody. Al Berg and Lola, Doggy Style Podcast, episode 34. And we're thinking of a name change. Doggy Style maybe isn't the right name for this, even though I'm walking my dog. Even though I'm walking my dog, I'm just wondering if I'm going to get the right kind of person who wants to listen to this podcast. So I might change it from Doggy Style to something else, but who knows? We'll see. So what's going on today? Last night we went out for some Indian food with some friends and talked a little bit about a couple of books I wrote. One is called Wisdom of a Dad, and if you go to wisdomofadad.com, you can see it there. And another one is 69 Immutable Laws of Weight Loss, and that one is on exceldiet.com. So just cleaned out a box this morning. It's a good feeling. It takes a lot of time, and I'm trying to figure out how to reduce the time of the junk I save. So I spend a lot of time writing notes. And I'm going to pause for a second. Okay, so we just had a dog, a little dog, and the owner, I didn't recognize her. It's embarrassing. I guess we were at a different spot, and it's kind of embarrassing. You don't recognize the neighbor. No, she wasn't wearing makeup or something, and I just didn't recognize them. I don't want to make excuses. So, yes, I was talking about went out for dinner, went out for some Indian food, and unfortunately, the food was okay. There's a better Indian restaurant by me called, I think, Dewan or Daiwa. And the downside, I'm not sure it was the Indian food's fault, but I did gain some weight. I was doing pretty well. Finally broke through 170. I've been trying to get through 170 pounds, get below it for a while, and then finally I did it on Saturday, and today's Sunday, June 3rd. So while I was cleaning out the box, I decided to see, and this kind of wasted a little time, but it was an interesting exercise. I wanted to see how many pieces I went through, how long each one took. So I just wrote a little VBA script that as I moved down the sheet, it would automatically put in the date and time of whatever I had recorded. So that could be useful for anything. Anybody has to record what they're doing, what they're working on in some fashion. It just has and the only thing you had to do was move to the next cell, next row, and it would automatically fill in the date and time. And I could have it add that it would also subtract. Um, it could subtract and calculate how long each task took. So it's a small little thing, and I'm going to include it in some of the lessons I'm going to be teaching. So I've had a lot of junk around. I haven't been able to do stuff on weekends. So it was a nice, come on. It was a nice relief to be able to go through a box. And of course, my to-do list on a daily, I seem to always create a new to-do list, which is probably not a good thing. And I'm up to like 50 items. One of the ideas I had is, and again, I didn't do this, is to be better balanced with my time. So I didn't necessarily want to spend my whole day uh, going through boxes and cleaning up papers. I mean, I just have a lot of ideas I started and they just don't get finished. It might be charts or things. So I was filing stuff that I thought I could use in the future. Yeah, so on Friday, I guess I did do a podcast, which I had a very nice walk on Friday, and then yesterday it went fast. You know, the days go by so fast. So today I'm going to do some more going through my books. I'll see if I have anything on my list. And so just a few things here. One of them is to try to start doing push-ups and sit-ups. And I was thinking, if you can do a lot of push-ups and sit-ups, just that alone. And if I did it, say it's hard to do at work, but at least when I was home, when I get a stand-up alarm or every hour, if I just do push-ups and sit-ups and just keep building it up, that pretty quickly I would be getting in pretty good shape. So again, that's a thought. Another thing is to do more planning, which I'm not a big planner. And I was thinking of doing some more planning with my stand-up alarm. So every time I get an alarm, I could basically compare what I did to what my plan was. And then just for my general stuff, I had written down 4 things that I wanted to focus on, and they were cleaning, health, Excel franchise, and some goal stuff. So that was basically it. We're gonna go this way. Come here. No, no, you're gonna go this way. Come here. So we're at the park, and there's a man with a little baby who, when he put her down, she was crying a lot. Didn't seem like he was trying to get her to walk. Lola knows how to walk. Yesterday we gave Lola a bath, which is I don't know if it's fun. She does not like it. She is not happy to getting baths. I'm gonna let her run around now. It's nice and cool. It's a very cold day. I'm gonna say it's got to be 60, about 60 today. Stay over here. Come on, go play. Go play. She's running after something. I don't know if there was I'm going to guess there was a rabbit over there. And I'm looking around, I don't see any rabbits. Yeah, so that was about it for my lists. I mean, I can go through some of the older stuff. Let's see what I got. I'm just kind of random here. Oi, nothing more annoying than a baby crying. Oi! Lola's finally going to the bathroom. And on that note, I will pause this so I could clean up. Oi. Okay, we got the poop. And somebody new came into the park, but Lola was not bothered by them in any way. We're just walking around the park. It's a beautiful park. We'll take a picture. You can't even, so big you can't even get the whole thing. And I was going to go through an old list, see what I had here. Yeah, I do have to organize this better. Um, yeah, so I'm seeing my weight was lower on here. There's some ideas about periscoping on Excel or periscoping on Bitcoin. It's hard to do. These technical subjects, um, they're hard. It's just words. And although I do have this idea of teaching a Excel course where only I have a computer and nobody else does, and just basically it would be show, and then people can go home and do it. I'm not sure how well that's going to work. I have another idea, Periscope on bulletproof coffee. If you don't know what that is, you could look it up on Google. I'll put a link down. Just some ideas I have about it, and just what I think about it. Yeah, there's nothing much here that I feel like talking about. It's kind of funny how the to-do list I'm looking at doesn't have a date time stamp, which really is needed. I want to know how old this is. Okay. Um, Come on. Yeah, there's just not much here. So let me go to I'm gonna go to my Key Principles for Success book, and I'll just go through a couple of chapters and whatever we talk about. Hopefully it'll be interesting. We're going to talk about some key principles for success now as we enter a different park. Um, I'll get a picture of this one so you can see what it looks like. It's completely empty. Wait. Go ahead, go play. Oi. I let off her leash and I almost got hit by it. Yeah, it's hard. These pictures don't come out. They don't ever um, do it well. Ever show what I'm seeing. Okay, so this is kind of, and there's Lola in the left corner. And then one more. Okay, so we got some pictures. And we're going to go for a walk while I discuss key principles for success. Okay, so first one is I can't yet. I see why. And this came from my kids saying a lot of I can't. Daddy, I can't. I was like, son, can you do this? I can't. I can't. So the thought is that when you say I can't, you reinforce your inability to do something. Now, maybe the only good time to use that is if you're trying to diet and you don't want to go out for drinks, or say you don't want to eat this. So if somebody says, oh, come, let's go for dessert, you can say I can't. So there it is, okay. You want to go out for drinks with me? I can't. I'm on a diet, and this will totally ruin my diet. So that's an okay, I can't. But for the most part, almost everything else, you should say I can't yet. And that little word, that word yet, adds a very powerful thing, is that you're admitting you can't do it just right now. It doesn't mean you won't be able to do it sometime in the future. So the whole point is to try to get you to not put yourself into a frame that makes it impossible to do this. So um, would you ever make $1 million a year? And if I said I can't, it would be very hard. But if I say I can't yet, that gives you that possibility. So always add that yet. I can't yet. I just found that was an important thing that I can say I came up with myself. I'm sure other people have said similar things. The next one I have is have updates for meetings that the boss might want. So when you're going to be in a meeting with your boss, figure out what they want to hear, not what they don't want to hear. Make each meeting a pleasurable experience. Like, how can you turn any meeting from something that's positive that they look forward to, and something they don't want to do? So it's your job, not your boss's job, if you want to be successful, is to take control of that meeting. And I could use my own advice. I have meetings with my boss once a week, at least an hour and a half, once by alone and once with coworkers. And I haven't been focused on that. And so the question you want to ask yourself before the meeting is, what can I say that will make my boss enjoy this meeting? What can I say that will make my boss hate this meeting? And then don't say the hate, and say the things that the boss will enjoy. And it doesn't sound that difficult. But in reality, I know I feel like I'm in a fight with my boss, which is not a good place to be. You don't necessarily want to be fighting with a boss. Because the boss gives you raises. I mean, one thing that I have been considering is looking for a new job. And I've been just very reluctant to do a lot of work. Part of it is I do have a lot of things to do here. I'm just making excuses. I have a list today, just putting together a very simple list of things to do, and it came up to 50 items, and I probably got thousands of things to do. Yeah, so even before the meeting, think about, what did your boss assign you? What do they want you to do? What tasks did they ask you to do that you need to get done before that meeting. Very, very important. This little rule will give you so much more success. My dog is so cute. She's just running around. She looks pretty happy. Uh, just we're in a big park and she's just checking out the whole scenery. It's really big. I mean, I'm going to say could be 3 football fields long, which would be about 900 yards. The next key principle is interruptions. And I've written something on that, and I'll just try to come up with some new stuff, and it's probably something I've already written. So, interrupting people and being interrupted are two things to be able to manage to be successful. So if you're getting interrupted a lot, it's going to be very hard to be successful. So you're going to need strategies to reduce those interruptions. And if you're interrupting people too much, you're going to anger them. So you got to watch how much you interrupt people. Now, one way I know I get interrupted that I don't like is when somebody texts me. We call it IM. We use Skype at work. So I have to watch how often, because if the person's in the middle of doing something, unless it's an emergency or it's holding you up, I mean, you really got to think about. I would almost say, hey. She's, Lola got a bath yesterday and she was just rubbing in the dirt. No rubbing in the dirt on the day after you get a bath. You got to wait 2 days. Um, so she knows I'm not happy with her rubbing in the dirt. Okay, so yeah, so you got to consider these things of interrupting. Another very important thing. I'm going to try to write some more about it. What's the matter? What was it? It was something? So, I don't know. She ran to me like she was afraid. You afraid of something? You want a treat? Here, you ready? Okay, go find. Here, come here. This is what it smells like. So I'm letting her smell it, and she knows not to take it. Okay, go find it. And she was kind of prancing. It was pretty funny. Um, was that good? Was that good? You like that? Was it good? A good treat? Yeah, she's so cute. I don't know, something over there that's bothering. Okay, ready? I love. She never stay here. She says, you stay here. She always runs after a treat. So whenever there's a treat, oh, it is muddy over here. What is that? Okay, go find it. Where is it? She's a little. There, you got it. There. Oh, you just passed it. It's over here. So I could point, and she knows exactly what I mean. You're a very smart girl. When she was little, we used to play a lot of games where we'd hide things under something and see if she could find it. Come on, dirty dog. Come on. Um, yeah. So those are actually those two things. We're going this way, Lola. Come on. We're going this way. She's off leash right now, and we're in a kind of a parking lot behind a school, a big park I just showed you. Come on. Slow down. She's kind of running ahead of me. I wanted to stop. Good girl. That was a good stop. Yeah, so interruptions, important. Come on, let's go. Let's see what's over here. Come on. I'm getting like a buzzing. Yeah, so interruptions, you got to think about. You don't want to interrupt people too much. I know there's my coworker I interrupt a lot. I probably shouldn't interrupt him as much. I could do more. To just email. You can email people, but you got and then see who interrupts you. And you might want strategies. So one strategy I've come up with, and this definitely works, if you get interrupted by, say, coworkers who want to just chit-chat, one thing you can do is wear headphones. If you put headphones on, the person is so much less likely, and I know this happens with me all the time, I'll see somebody with headphones, and she keeps looking behind her. What's the matter? Is your tail bothering you? What's scaring you? Something, she's scratching her back now. Come on. She's really itchy. Okay, so let's see what it says about interruptions. And just I'll admit I'm not a good reader. Okay, so this is just a list. This is not a chapter. I wrote some notes. And I'll just say what it tells you. It says, limiting interruptions is a key principle for success. If you're being interrupted too often, then you can't get your job done. And then I just have a list of things that I need to write about. So we have emails, coworker, boss, family, Mark your time as busy on the calendar. So this is another tip where if you want some free time, she just stopped and went, okay, you want a treat? Okay. So if you put time as busy, then people won't be able to schedule as many meetings, and you'll have some time for yourself. So that's a suggestion. Track what interrupts you. So if you're getting interrupted a lot, and if you're not being interrupted, you don't need to do this. But if you're getting a lot of interruptions, tracking using Excel is a pretty good tool, or whatever, however you want to do it. What the interruption is, when it was, what was it about, and then to come up with how you could avoid it. Oh, good rollover. And then there's things that interrupt you from reaching your goals. So unless you know your goals, hey, slow down, slow down. Unless you know your goals, good girl, that was a good girl. You listen to me. You chasing after something? Okay, go play. Don't go in the street. Go ahead. You could go over here. Come on, come. Yeah. So you need to know what your goals are, and then what's preventing you from reaching those goals. Very important. Oh, I just stepped on something in my shoe. Uh, you do have goals, hopefully. If you haven't had goals, if you don't have goals, then set some and figure out what is preventing you from reaching them. What's interrupting you? So if you're working on something that's not on your goals, then it's something you don't want to do. Now the question is why? Are you avoiding the goal? Is the goal something you really don't want? Subconscious is preventing you from reaching it. So think about those kind of things. I wrote down dog interrupt this. The dog interrupts me a lot, but she's cute. She needs to. Like she's constantly getting up and showing me how she wants to go outside. So that's a lot of interrupting from the dog. Okay, and sometimes you want to be interrupted. The only thing that comes to mind is if you're in a meeting or something or with somebody, you just want to get out of there. So if you get an interruption, maybe that could be good. Or somebody's talking to you that you don't want to talk to. So in that case, maybe that's a good place to get interrupted. And another issue is how do you get back on track after you're interrupted? Come on. Hey, Fizz. Who's a speedy doggy? She's having a lot of fun running today. And then she just lays down. She's tired. You tired? You ran a little bit and you're tired? Oi. You choking? What's the matter? You cool? It's nice for her. She doesn't like that. Oh, you're such a beautiful dog. Oh, I'm petting her now. Oh, she's so soft. You are so soft. We gave her a nice bath yesterday. You are such a good dog. And she has a lot of dandruff. You got a lot of dandruff. You need Head and Shoulders. Oh my God! Look at her. Look at that flaky skin. That's a lot of flaky skin. Okay, we're gonna have to go home and brush you and get all that dandruff out. Yeah, so getting back on track. And now the way I do it, she's really running after something. What she's running after? She's running in a weird way. Like she's, look at you go! Wow, you're so fast. What are you chasing? She was running in circles really fast. That was very cute. I know you need another dog to play with, don't you? So getting back on track. I have to interrupt. So funny. She's really doing a lot of running. Wow. She's making sharp turns. Look what she's doing. There's nothing she's chasing after. That's very funny. So the way I do it here is that I have on a list that I'm going from. So whenever I get distracted, like what Lola did, I look back on my list and see where I am. Now, one thing I've developed is, I haven't used it that much, but is basically whatever I work on, I kind of select it from a to-do list and I show it on my computer screen on top. So if I do get interrupted or just lose track of what I'm doing, I can always look up at my computer screen and see what I'm supposed to be working on. So this is kind of one trick I've learned, and I'm going to have to, at some point, release a way to do this. But you could just put a little memo, or you could probably figure out how to do something. You could put a little sticky note. Right on a sticky note is a very simple way. This is your task, and you get distracted. You can always come back to that. Oh, you're tired. Um, yeah. So any other tricks for reducing interruptions? If you get away from your so another thing you can do, if you get interrupted by a specific person, you can put on at least in Skype. I'm pretty sure like I am communicator Outlook stuff. You can put on your communicator that you're busy, just or in a meeting or something, just for that person, so they can't interrupt you. So if you find somebody's interrupting you a lot, slow down. Come here, princess. Come here. Yeah, you're very tired. You were doing very good running. Wait till I tell mommy how fast you were running. Wait, wait, wait. Where you going? I'm just putting the leash on her, and she walked away. Okay, let's go. Okay, let's see if this doggy's out. I don't think he is. I think he would be here. Come on. There, come this way. Come this way. There, beware dog is good. I like it. It shows a growling dog, which just gives more, I don't know, more danger or something. Speaking of danger, just reminded me. I just watched the series Lost in Space. It's based on the original series Lost in Space, and oh, they have put up a trampoline in this house. I wonder if they. It almost looks like they might have moved. There's two little girls crying. Come on. Oh yeah, this is Doggy. They have a German Shepherd. Yeah, there's a doggy over there. Come on. Doggy can't see us. Come on. It's a little German Shepherd. Okay, where was I? Where you going? Come on. Hmm. That was weird. So somehow I screwed up and I lost where I was. Okay, so we'll just have to do it again. So yeah, so that's a little bit about interruptions. Uh, it's important, right? So these little things can, well, one thing that I find interrupts me a lot is slow queries on my database at work, and I do have to find a better way. So I was just thinking that maybe running these queries at night, when they're needed, would help, or maybe finding ways to run smaller versions of them while I'm testing. Yes, it is it's an issue, no question about it. Okay, so there's a few here. I'll go through them quickly. Practice is the next one. And I have a whole chapter on preparation, so I don't know if I have practice, but just the thing I can think about practice is if you do practice, and I can talk about batting practice in the major leagues. Now, I watch how baseball players practice. They have a pitching coach who stands behind a fence and they lob the ball over the plate to the baseball player, and the baseball player swings and hits home runs. Very different than what the actual situation is. So one thing I have is when you do practice, make it, if you're practicing for something, make it as similar as possible to the actual event. So if I was going to do off the cuff speaking, I do it while walking my dog. I'm probably better off, and I could do it with my phone because, I could just pull up my phone instead of cards, just as notes. And better off, probably even better off to have this headset on since I always have a certain headset on, but better off to do it as similar as possible to the actual event. So if you're going to be doing a talk in front of 1,000 people, it's could be hard to practice in front of 1,000 people, but practice in front of 1 people, practice in front of 10 people, practice inside the auditorium you're going to be at to see how it feels. So, a lot of times when we're uncomfortable, It's because it's a new situation, and our minds are too noticing things that are new. Where if you've been in a situation already, so for example, I'm sure people who have given talks in front of thousands of people 20 times aren't as nervous as somebody who's doing it for the first time. How you doing? Come on. So when you do practice, try to make it. So another thing I would say is that I used to coach hockey teams, and that the kids would practice without the helmets on. So there's two problems here. One is the danger of it, and the other is you don't play without a helmet. So why are you practicing without a helmet? Um, so if you're going to practice outside, practicing on, say, hockey outside, if you're practicing on your feet, is one thing. If you're practicing on ice skates or skates, at least that's a little closer. Um, so, and if you do create practices, create situations that are as close as possible. Yeah, hi. Whose house is this? Where are we going? Where are you going? What are you doing? Where are you going? Where are you going? You know this house, huh? Whose house is this? Whose house is this? Yeah, so we have some friends in the neighborhood. She just went up to their, she's at their door. You want to ring their bell? You want to ring their bell and say hello? Are they in the back? Come on, we don't want to go in the back. Come on. It's funny, come on, we're not going that way. Their kid is, come on, oi. Come on, they're not here. The kid is grown up and they still have these little kitty uh, sliding pond. It must be for a 4-year-old. It doesn't seem to be home since there's no cars here. Yeah, so whenever you practice, make it as real as possible. And you don't have to make your early practices as real as possible. You know, if you're just practicing, say you're practicing hockey and you're shooting a puck, you know, if you're shooting a roll of tape versus a hockey puck, it makes a difference. The weight. And again, so anytime you can get you can certainly start and get something out of it. You know, if you're practicing stick handling with a ball, it's not the same, but I'm going to say that it helps probably a little bit. But you do want to get as much as possible with the real thing. The next thing is know your comp. And comp could be your compensation, which it's not. It's your competition. So you have competition no matter what you do. Even if you work, if you want to get a promotion, there's other people that you're competing with. How well do you know them? And see, this is an issue I have because I really don't know my competition at work. Um, I don't know, to know their weaknesses, to know stuff about them, get some inside scoops on them, and it could be for businesses or do some research on them. You know, who is this person? What do they like to do? What are their flaws? I mean, even for me, if somebody wanted to do some research on me, what could they find out? And if you do have competition, it might help. I don't know if it would, is to set confirmation bias traps on these people. You know, so it could be difficult because if you know who's going to rate you, it's just difficult. I mean, unfortunately, I've never been at the high enough level to really rate people or be part of something where somebody said, which is a little disappointing, but at the same time, I'm a software developer and we don't get much respect, especially with the fact that you can outsource everything these days. So we're almost considered a commodity. So I would say if you are in computer software, this whole commodity issue is not a great thing, unless it's just difficult business and you do need to work with users very closely. So once you know your competition, you know their weaknesses, you know not to help them too much. I mean, do you want to help your competition put you out of business? Of course not. At work, there may be somebody who needs to be fired. You don't want that to be you. You want that to be your competition. So you really do you can't help your competition. You know, if you're the boss, it's different because if you're the boss, then anybody that works for you, you want them to do a good job. Where on the other hand, you're not rated against your workers. But I could even still see if I'm getting rated if I'm getting rated and I'm rating somebody that works for me as exceeds expectations, and I'm only getting a meets expectations, that's going to be a little disappointing for me. The next one is learn persuasion techniques. And the best and quickest book I got persuasion techniques out of, there's a few books to read, but I can't stress the importance of learning these techniques. Persuasion techniques is really success is all about. You have to persuade your boss to give you a promotion. You have to persuade a woman or man to go out on a date with you. You have to persuade people to buy your product. So if I want people to buy my book, I have to persuade you to buy my book. And there's a number of techniques, which I won't get into them right now. I use the acronym ASCURL to remember them. These are from Cialdini. These are like the most basic techniques. So the A is for authority. So we are persuaded by authority figures. I won't go deep into these because I have some stuff in the book on this. The S is for social proof. So if other people are doing something, you're more likely to do it. The second S is for scarcity. We want things that are scarce. The C is for commitment consistency. So if you can get somebody to commit to small requests or say yes to you, they're more likely to say yes to future requests. The U is for unity, which has to do with family, using the term we, family. Come on, we're going this way. Come on, we're not going in there. She wanted to go into another park, but there was a girl playing basketball. I think it was a girl. I wasn't sure. Okay, so U was unity. R is reciprocation. So when you do things for somebody, they're required by who knows what, the universe, to do something for you. You buy somebody lunch, they need to buy you lunch. You lend somebody money, they give you back money. So this whole reciprocation, and the L, the final L, is liking. So it's easier to persuade people that like you than dislike you. So you want to always try to do strategies that come across that get people to like you. And the two that I'll leave you with, that I've talked about many times, are uh, Scott Adams has a book called How to Fail at Almost Everything, How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big, I think, something like that. And he has a small chapter on persuasion, and just two or three things I'll just lay out. So number one is, if you're making a request to somebody, and I would recommend getting that book, very good book, is use the term because. So Lola's going up to another neighbor's door. What are you doing? Where are you going? She's just laying on somebody's yard. It's kind of funny. Um, use the term because. So can you do something for me because? And I've tried this in texting and emails, and it really does seem to work. The other thing is to thank people. And just the other day, I thanked somebody. I said, somebody helped me that I didn't know at all, and I just said, thank you very much. I really appreciate it, and happy face sign. And they were just so happy about it. Um, come on, they're not here. Come on. So how you thank people is important. And the other one is what I'll call anti-persuasion, or what Scott Adams calls anti-persuasion, that is how to avoid doing something. And the one way is you can say something like, I have a rule. So do you want to go out for lunch with me? Or can I tag along at lunch and see how you do it? Oh, I have a rule. I don't take anybody on calls. Or I have a rule. I don't help people I'm rated against. If somebody, I don't know if I would use that one. But you know, if you say I have a rule, it's very hard. And somebody might say, "Can't you break the rule?" And you can say, "No, I have a rule." So you want to have also techniques to persuade. Like you go to buy a car, and they say, "Oh, you can only get this deal today." You can say, "I have a rule. I never buy a car the first, on the day. I have to wait at least a day." So that's persuasion. Look for ways to increase your persuasion. Just one thing I do is whenever I hear something persuasive, a persuasive tweet or anything, I write it down. I have over 2,300 of these techniques that I'm going to put together a book one day. It's not on my goals for this year, but even in these podcasts, I've been starting to talk about them. Okay, the next one is working a room. Now, it's interesting. What does that mean? I guess you're at a room. I mean, it could be. Typically, it would be some place where you don't know a lot of people, and really, you should almost in any case talk to people you don't know, not people you know. Hang out with people that are new, and very few people will do this. Now, in terms of working a room, you might have something to sell them. You might be practicing something. You might want to just make more networking connections. So the better your skills at working a room, and there's many books on this. I'll include a link in Google, working a room. But it is a technique that I could use. I mean, I'm not bad after a few drinks, but not without drinks. So I really don't have much in that. It's kind of more research I need. Come on. Is that? Um, the next one is you don't know how good you got it. This is kind of a Sam Harris thing. Just in general, success is not necessarily always striving for something. Success is really just realizing how good you got it. So probably more success would be the person who can realize and accept and appreciate what they have, as opposed to somebody who who can't and who's always striving. It's weird. I'm seeing a youngish woman walking in her pajamas. It looks like pajamas. I mean, right now, I don't know if it's, I think people have said this, that the human brain is wired for like a negative bias, to look for things we don't have, to look for injustices, to look for that lion. So if everything's normal, it doesn't strike us. But the moment we sense something, we look away. We don't want to be get eaten by the lion. And so now one thing is that we do in our society have an overabundance of food, and I would imagine that in the past, or evolutionarily, it was just animals just eating and finding food was such a big drive that we don't really have a need for that anymore. Or such a big occupation of time and even happiness to find food must be the greatest feeling for an animal who's starving to death. The next one I have, and it's a link to something called a minimum viable product. And so it's a concept of you want to create a product. I've heard this term. You want to create a product that's usable with minimally. So somebody would be willing to pay for it, I would say. And you don't need to create anything more. So once you have that minimally viable product, then you can start selling it and getting feedback and then improving it. So at least you start to make money on it. So let's see what. So here it says a minimal viable product, MVP, is a product with just enough features to satisfy early customers and to provide feedback for future product development. Just basically what I said. Gathering insights from an MVP is often less expensive than developing a product with more features, which increase costs and risk if the product fails, for example, due to incorrect assumptions. The term was coined and defined by Frank Robinson about 2001 and popularized by Steve Blank and Eric Ries. It may also involve carrying out market analysis beforehand. So there's more here. Um, so one of the things I really need to do, and this is something for me, it's important for me to figure out how to do this, is to create this minimally viable product. So with this Excel franchise idea I have, I need to create 1 or 2 training programs and get the ability for somebody to buy them and then try to spend some money selling it. So I do have allocated $100 to sell it. And I could even put it on platforms. There's a number of platforms where you can sell things. So I could put them on those platforms too. Or I could try to sell it myself. And then if I do want to do a franchise idea, I have to figure out how to do that. Come here. This looks like it's poison ivy. Yeah. Yoy, yoy. No. Let's get away from this. No. I don't like the way that looks. So the dog looks like she was in poison ivy. So I clicked the link and now I'm no longer where I was, which is okay. So I got a new shuffled list. So one of the nice features of the list feature I've created, which again, I need to get other people using this, is has a shuffle thing. So I've created this list of so many items and you can easily shuffle it, and that's how Okay, next one is enthusiasm is contagious. So I don't know if an example, but if somebody's enthusiastic about something, you're like, wow, they were so enthusiastic. That must be really good. So now, enthusiasm can't be faked, really. So if you do work on something, you want to be really enthusiastic about it. The more enthusiasm you are, the more you want to work on it, the better it will be. So it's actually a good indicator on prioritization. What makes you, what enthuses you? That's the way. What increases what has the highest level of enthusiasm? So you write down your list of tasks or goals, and which one are you most I don't know the word. Enthusiastic about? Is enthusiastic about? Though even people, if you meet somebody who's enthusiastic, it's like it excites you. Oh, hi. If they come, hi, what's going on? Nice to meet you. Oh, I heard so much about you. That gets you up. If you meet somebody and they're like, yeah, hi, how are you? I mean, I would say, at least for me, I mirror a lot of people's emotions. And it probably has to do with risk taking. The person who's emotionally enthusiastic for just meeting a new person risks rejection. And the person that mirrors doesn't. Now, I think some people might say, oh, that person's, oh my God, I can't stand this, too enthusiastic. But I don't know. I think most people like enthusiastic speakers, people who are happy. And I'm going to do a little bit more research on enthusiasm, what it means, how it works, components of it. The next one is bottom up versus top down. It's interesting. So a bottom up approach means you create, and this is kind of the finish then add details approach, where bottom up would be you create like a one item thing, and then you make it a little bit bigger and and you keep expanding it. So you might only focus on one thing and then you have 2 things. Top down is you kind of create the whole thing that you want to create and then fill in the details. And you could have a combination of bottom up and top down where they meet somewhere in the middle, where you create the overview and work on details, and then you work both ways. So one of the problems with top down and advantages is with top down, it's hard to, you're not finished for a long time. With bottom up, the moment you have one item or two items or however many your limit is, you could be considered finished. And again, a principle that I think is so important, this finish then add details. But again, more of a bottom up where you create something, even if you do like a one page, if somebody says document this, so you create one page. And so hopefully it's usable, and then you could create 2 pages out of that, and then 5, and you can keep expanding, but you're always finished. So that's kind of all I got from top down to bottom up. Um, being late to the game, and this is a hard one. So with Bitcoin, I feel like I'm kind of late into the game. It was created 9 years ago, and I didn't really focus on it. I guess about 3 or 4 years ago, I was focused on it. I was thinking of buying it, but I didn't. So being late to the game is not a losing proposition. It helps you to be early with things. So there's just a lot of stuff out now that makes it much easier. But at the same time, when you're late to the game, there's a lot of learning that you don't have to do. You could get it off Google, out of books. So there is kind of an advantage. Next one is requirements. I mean, this is always big. Come on. This is always big for this is always big for software development. What are the requirements? What do you want the software to do? And I think I haven't done a lot of this. I mean, I have in the past, and you never get the requirements right. And this is more of a top-down, but there might be something to it to kind of spec out what you want the system to do, and then build it, or even pay somebody to build it. There's not a lot of requirements. The next one is brand. This is, come on, it's a very hard one. We've had courses at work on how to brand yourself. So, and there's a book that I kind of copied the title from called The 22 Immutable Laws of Branding, which I have. So I think I have to read that to give you more on branding. But when people think of me, what do they think of? Do I have a brand? I've tried to be the automation guy. There might be other things. I think we're going to sit outside for a while. I'll just continue to go through this. Oh, there's a little fly. Did I just sit on a fly? What is it? You see something? You see a rabbit? What is it? Come on, let's relax. Definitely got warmer up. Okay. So I am back at home. I'm going to see if I can pause this and see if I can get the wife to give me, oh, maybe not, something. Hmm. Okay, so I was going to, but I'm going to just end this because I'm really low on space. And I just want to wish everybody a happy June 3rd, which is Sunday. And I do need to find a better way to get these on quicker. It just takes a lot of time. I'm going to try to figure out how much time it takes and see how I can speed it up. And maybe even help other people do this or do some research on it. Anyway, everybody thanks a lot. This is Al Berg signing off.